Hello, everyone. My name is Maitri Meyer, and my colleague's name is Walker Spruill. We are here today to present on the topic of recycling right in Mecklenburg County. The goal of this presentation is to educate Mecklenburg County residents on how to put the right thing in the right can that's going into the right truck so it ends up in the right place. So, Walker and I are really excited to share this information with you today. We are here to educate and empower you to reduce your waste and to recycle right. We want to make really sure that you know we are not here to shame you or try to convince you to drastically change your habits. Anything we teach you that you can put into practice is going to help our overall situation in Mecklenburg County. And we really appreciate your cooperation and your efforts. Now, just to be really clear, this presentation is for residential curbside recycling only. So this is not what you can do when you're at work at a commercial business. This is actually not even what multifamily dwellings like apartment complexes, condos, senior living centers can do, because they have private haulers that come and pick up their garbage and recycling, and they might take them to the Mecklenburg County material recovery facility or our recycling sorting facility, or they might take them somewhere else. So this is for residents who have single family dwellings who take their cart and they push them out to the sidewalk every other week, and a truck comes and picks it up. So I just wanted to be very clear about that.
Before we get into the nitty-gritty of recycling here in Mecklenburg County, watch this 4-minute video that shows what happens after the materials are collected from your home. It's our own little personal recycling journey in Mecklenburg County. Enjoy!
It's recycling day. Have you ever wondered where your recycling actually goes? First, recycling carts are wheeled to the curb for pickup. The recycling truck then comes through neighborhoods collecting the recyclables with large hydraulic arms that pick up the cart and then empty the recyclables into the truck. Once the trucks are full, they head to the Metrolina Recycling Center. To keep the material clean, you should only put paper, cardboard, aluminum cans, plastic bottles, and jugs into your recycling cart at home, school, and work, and in the bins at the full and self-service recycling centers. And never place plastic bags in the recycling bin because they can potentially damage the machinery. Plastic bags can be recycled at many retailers. The trucks arriving at the facility are first weighed at the scale house. Trucks come from the Mecklenburg County area, including neighborhoods in Charlotte, Huntersville, Mint Hill, Matthews, Cornelius, Davidson, and Pineville, as well as the full and self-service recycling centers in Mecklenburg County. The recyclable materials collected by the trucks are emptied on the tipping floor. Between 400 and 500 tons of paper, cardboard, aluminum cans, plastic bottles, and jugs arrive daily and must be sorted by the network of equipment and people at the facility. The material is pushed from the tipping floor into a hopper, which starts to uncompact the mixed material with a rotating drum. After going through the rotating drum, the material moves on to the first of many conveyor belts that quickly move the material. The material first goes through the pre-sort cabin, where workers remove as much unacceptable material as possible from the fast-moving conveyor belt. It's very important to keep the unacceptable materials out of the recycling stream because these items can create safety hazards, seriously damage machinery, and stop facility operations. Then the material moves on through a system of magnets which separate the steel cans. Plastic bottles and containers are sorted by optical sorters that use air jets to direct the plastics to the correct bunker. The system is designed to handle the recycle right household recyclables: paper, cardboard, aluminum cans, plastic bottles, and jugs. The recycling facility processes over 30 tons of material per hour. After the material is sorted, it's loaded into bunkers. Then the material types are sent through balers to compact the material into bales to prepare them for sale and shipping. The bales can weigh 1,000 to 1,500 pounds depending on the material. Baling the material allows for efficient storage and shipping. Anything other than the recycle right household recyclables, like paper, cardboard, aluminum cans, plastic bottles, and jugs, are actually not handled properly in the system and goes out as residue into a trash compactor. This wishful recycling can cause a backup and even damage the system. The Metrolina Recycling Center also offers group tours that will allow you to see this amazing process for yourself and learn more about recycling so you can recycle right. Recycling right is very important for employee safety, protecting the machinery, reducing disposal and operating costs, facility efficiency, and creating clean bales of marketable materials to be recycled into new items. So remember, only place paper, cardboard, aluminum cans, plastic bottles, and jugs in your recycling cart at home, school, work, and at the full and self-service recycling centers. And always recycle right.
We're here today talking about recycling right. So, what does that really mean? That means only putting into your recycling bin what we can turn around and sell at market. And right now, about 1 in 5 items that are coming in are not resellable, meaning they're contamination, whether that is food or that is dirty cans or that is plastics that we don't accept. These materials have to be sorted out of that. And so we're here to propose to you to recycle right, because that's going to help us reach our goal, which is to reduce contamination so that we can actually get better recycling results. It used to be that recycle everything, right? Just if it's if you want to put it in the recycling bin, it'll get recycled. But we realize that now that is not really what's happening. Things are not being recycled like that. That's why we have to be more intentional about what we're putting into our recycling bin. So it's no longer recycle often, it is now recycle right. And it used to be the 3 R's. Everyone knows them: reduce, reuse, recycle. But now that is just not enough. And so we have actually developed the 7 R's of waste reduction. And we realized there could be 15 R's because we've talked about them. But we've actually gone to that next level of what else can we do besides the reduce and reuse before recycling? And that is rethink, refuse, reduce, rot, reuse, repurpose, and then finally recycle right. Because the next step, if you can't do something with it here, the next step is landfill.
So this is the point in the presentation, whereas if we were in person, I'd have my head down, I'd be pacing back and forth across the floor and say, I have a confession to make, everybody. I'm a recovering wishful recycler. Until I started working for Mecklenburg County, I was guilty. I was one of those people that used to put something in the recycling bin and hope that somebody would figure out what to do with it. I would hope, okay, someone at the recycling center is going to see that and they're going to say, oh, I need one of these at home. I'm going to take it home, and they're going to reuse it. Or they're going to say, oh, I know someone who could use this, and they're going to have time and the energy and the place, and they're going to take it. Or they're going to say, oh, we can't officially recycle this clicker, this PowerPoint clicker, but I know something that can be done with it. That's not true. It is taking a lot of time and money for all of those items to be pulled out of our system. And a lot of those items actually cause bigger problems than time and money. They end up damaging the machinery, which we're going to talk about more later. They can injure our workers, and they can cause fires at our recycling centers. In fact, our recycling centers and our landfills and all of our drop-off centers, we have a few fires every year. We're going to talk more about that in a moment. But imagine the cost and the time and the effort it takes to recover from a fire, because people are putting the wrong things into their curbside recycling bins or into their trash. So before we use the word, okay, so wishful recycling is when people put things that we consider contamination things that are not recyclable into their recycling bins. So, what is the cost of improper recycling? What is the cost of pulling out all of this contamination? So, we get 400 tons per day, which I said before was about 55 to 60 truckloads. Our current contamination rate or reject rate or actual garbage in the cart rate is usually around 20%. But let's say Walker and I do such an amazing job educating the 1.4 million residents in Mecklenburg County, and you guys get all kinds of people to sign up for future Recycle Right presentations, and you forward these links and these videos to everybody you know, and we get it down to 15%. Oh, that's a big improvement. That's only 60 tons of trash per day that are being sorted out and being hauled to the landfill that were in our recycling bins. That's still 12 truckloads of garbage that's in your recycling carts that shouldn't be there. Here's the cost of that. It costs us about $7,000 per day to pull that garbage out of the recycling carts. We work 5 days a week when our machines are fully functional and we don't have fires. Otherwise, we have to work weekends. We typically work one shift per day, but like I said, sometimes we get behind, sometimes the machines break, sometimes we have to add a second shift. So it's about $36,000 per week and almost $1.9 million per year to pull garbage out of the recycling bins. So remember before when I said I'm a recovering wishful recycler? This is why. I'm a business major, and it really hurt me when I saw these numbers. I thought, wow, that's why recycling is not profitable. That's why a lot of towns, municipalities, governments around the world are saying we can't afford to recycle anymore because the contamination rates are too high, because people are not educated on what we can and can't take. So, do you think the people at Mecklenburg County and the Solid Waste Department have some ideas on what to do with $1.9 million per year if they saved that money by not pulling trash out all the time? My guess is that they could upgrade the equipment. So maybe we could even accept more items in the future. I know they did a major equipment redesign what do they call upgrade back in 2010, and in 2020 they're actually working on another one right now. So that is really exciting. With what do they call it? Artificial intelligence and robotics and all kinds of, there are so many new technologies coming out that will help us sort these recyclables more efficiently.
So we're here to ask you that if you are going to change one thing about how you do your recycling, is we are going to ask, please, no plastic bags. So plastic bags are absolutely destroying our system. Not only is there often trash mixed in with the recyclables inside those plastic bags, but they actually, when they get dropped on our tipping floor and pushed into the machinery, it gets caught up in the system. So this is our number one problem in recycling across the country. When we get a load dumped on the tipping floor, this is typically what it looks like. It's a whole bunch of loose materials, which is just how we like them. But you can see in here, there are some plastic bags with recyclables in them. There's just loose plastic bags. And what happens is that gets wrapped around all of our machinery, making it not work. So there's supposed to be spaces in between these bars where materials can fall through. And when these plastic bags get wrapped around it, then we're losing out on that machine working properly. So those materials that are supposed to be falling through actually get passed on to the next part of the system, where it's not able to handle that material and it's getting baled wrong. So this is just a brief look at the things that we do not accept. And I know that seems backwards that we're talking about what we don't accept before we get into what we do, but that's because these are really important. And that is, one, anything that can be tangled in the machinery, anything that can wrap around other stuff. So that's any kind of soft plastics, that's hoses, hangers, talk about getting caught up on machinery. Anything that is long and stretchy, like plastic film and plastic wrap, these are not recyclable in your curbside bins. Also, anything that's sharp. We don't want diabetic needles. We don't want scissors. Yes, they have metal, but they are not recyclable in your curbside bin. So anything sharp, any kind of razors, yes, they have plastic and metal. That is not recyclable in your curbside bin. In fact, that's not recyclable at all, but that's a whole nother conversation. So then any electronics that have rechargeable batteries. So rechargeable batteries, actually, when that plastic gets broken and it is exposed to air, that causes a lot of the fires that we experience in the system, whether it's inside a truck where they're trying to compress all of the materials, or if it is just out in the yard where it got dumped and it's getting tumbled over all of this machinery. And so that means anything that's rechargeable, whether it's a rechargeable toothbrush or a rechargeable vacuum where you plug the battery into the wall and then put it right into your vacuum, those kinds of things, those rechargeable batteries, even the little small rechargeable batteries, those need to be taken to the full service drop off centers and they can take care of them for you there. And then along with those are anything flammable. So that means gas cans, propane tanks, helium tanks, if there's still gas inside of it. These are things that need to be handled by our hazardous household waste. And those, we do have 4 full service drop off centers in Mecklenburg County serving this area. And there's a map of it here on the screen. So kind of pick the one that's closest to you. And that's where we have the hazardous household waste drop off for those flammables, those rechargeable batteries. And there's also things like that scrap metal recycling that can be done there. There's a lot more that can be recycled, but we're here today talking about what goes in your curbside residential recycling bin.
Awesome job, Walker, talking about all the contaminants in our system. Did you guys see all those little circles with the X's through them? Those are things we typically get. So baby diapers, food, all of those types of things really cause a problem. That's what is costing us $1.9 million per year. So now we are going to talk about what we do want in your residential curbside carts. These are the only items that we can resell to vendors that are going to turn them into new materials. So these come in a couple different categories. The first category we're going to talk about is paper or anything that's fibrous. So that's your junk mail, your newspaper, your brown paper bags, your magazines, your cardboard boxes, your cereal boxes, we call it box board, anything that can rip, that has little tiny fibers on the inside. Don't worry if the magazines are glossy or matte. We can take either one, doesn't matter. Any of your junk mail that you get, go ahead and put that right into the recycling bin. So the first category is paper. The second category is metal cans. We love metal cans of all types. You can send us tin and steel cans, like your food grade cans that your baked beans come in, your tuna fish, your dog food, things like that. But just make sure there's no baked beans, tuna fish, or dog food on the inside. They have to be clean, dry, and empty. Here's a high level tip. If your recycling cart smells, you're doing something wrong. They should be clean enough that nothing is sticky, dripping, or smelly, okay? So any tin or steel cans. The second one is aluminum cans, soda cans. We've been recycling those for years, right? The third one, I actually didn't know about this, is empty aerosol cans. If it is 100% empty, we can recycle those. If you can take the little plastic cap off, that would be helpful. Throw that into your garbage can, but if not, that's okay. It will be taken care of in the process. The third group. Oh, let's go back to cartons and juice boxes. We could actually add that into the fiber and paper category, but they are slightly different. They're kind of a wax coating. So those go through a special process, and a special machine pulls them out, and they get baled separately from the rest of the paper and the cardboard. The tip there is that if you rip it and it has a foil lining on it on the inside, we can't take it. We can only take it if it's like a coated paper material. So some of your soup broths, like your chicken broth, your almond milk, soy milk, coconut milk, your orange juice, if it comes in a carton, try to rip one and see if there's any foil in there. And of course, we do not want the plastic straw that comes in the juice boxes. Make sure you get rid of that. The little plastic screw-on cap, if you want, you can leave it on. It would help us a little bit more if you actually threw that in the garbage can separately. It would make our recyclables a little bit more pure, so they are higher value on the commodity market when we go to sell them to vendors. Okay, the third category, so it was paper, cans, and now glass. We can accept glass in any color as long as it is food grade bottles and jars. Listen carefully. Food grade bottles or jars. That does not mean dishes, aquariums, picture frames, I don't know, anything else but vases, anything else made out of glass. We can accept food grade bottles and jars that are clear, green, brown, amber, that beautiful royal blue. Doesn't matter. We can accept all of that glass. So our glass is actually shattered in the recycling process, and anything that it goes through a series of screens, and it's shaken out, and all the glass falls down. So what happens if you have a box of Cheerios in your recycling cart that still has Cheerios in it and a plastic bag? The Cheerios are going to end up in the shattered glass pile, and the plastic bag is going to be wrapped around our machinery and break our machines. So you see why it's really important that you prepare things properly, and we only get exactly what we need. To help us with glass, glass is challenging both to separate, and the commodity markets are getting more and more picky right now. If they have diabetic syringes and dog food and little plastic caps in it, for some reason, they don't want to buy the glass from us. I don't know why. Just kidding. So if you can separate out your food grade glass bottles and jars and set them aside and come to one of our full service drop off sites and bring it there, we have big yellow dumpsters that are spray painted that say glass only. Take the wine corks out, take the little metal caps off of things so it's only glass. We can sell that glass on the commodity market at a much higher price because it's nice and pure and it doesn't need to be sorted through. Okay, so that was the third category. The fourth category, and this is the one that's usually the most challenging for residents, and we get the most questions: plastics. We can only accept bottles and jugs with pourable necks or spouts. So if it has a neck and a shoulders where the top is much smaller than the base, chances are we can accept it. It's a type of plastic that we can sell on the commodity market. So that's soda bottles, water bottles, milk jugs, laundry jugs, shampoo bottles. As long as there's no pumps in them, we don't want the pumps. We can keep the little caps on if the caps are made out of the same material, screw them on tight as long as they're clean, dry, and empty first. But we don't want plastic clickers. We don't want plastic yogurt cups. There's no pourable neck or spout. The top is actually bigger than the bottom instead of smaller at the top and bigger at the bottom. And the reason is, remember in the olden days, we used to look on the bottom and they had those little chasing arrows with numbers in them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those little numbers are no longer reliable or accurate. Yes, you heard me. Just because it has little arrows on the bottom doesn't mean that it's recyclable. And it definitely does not mean that we have the capability to recycle it in Mecklenburg County. And it does not mean that we have any vendors that want to buy it from us. Sometimes we can't even give it away. And sometimes we have to pay to give some of these things away. So those little numbers, the manufacturer can put the number on the bottom that that specific item is 51% or more of that type of plastic. So 100% minus 51% is 49%. So like I have something that says it's a 1, and I hope it's a 1, and it has a neck, so this should be recyclable. But I also have a plastic glasses case. This is not a bottle or jug, and who knows what kind of plastic it is made out of, but please don't send us this, okay? So your general rule of thumb with regard to plastics is a bottle or a jug with a neck on it? If yes, go ahead and put it in your recycling cart. If no, please throw it out. We're going to talk about that more in a little bit.
All right. So we know that we are covering a lot of information here. And so we do have a lot more resources over at the website wipeoutwaste.com. You'll see it at the bottom of just about every slide that we have in the slideshow, because that is your number one resource for this information. But we do have a wipeout waste guide that is just pages of the information about what to do with certain materials. So we will be sharing out a link of that in the Q&A. And so this is going to be what you're going to do with the things that do not go in your curbside bin. Now, here's a reminder: just because you want to recycle it does not mean that it can be recycled. So this is where you can explore, of the things that we do not accept in our curbside bin, what else can you recycle at our full service drop-off centers? Because after that, there are going to be materials left over that cannot be recycled. And so those are going to go in the garbage. So this is where we're really working about what are we doing with the materials that we already have, and how are we disposing of them properly. So that is our Wipeout Waste Guide, and we will share a link to that in the Q&A momentarily.
Excellent. So now is when we're going to have some review of what we've learned, and I am going to give a little bit more details on some items that I know you are all asking. In this presentation, we cover 90% of the most frequently asked questions, and this is when we're going to hit them. So who remembers Sesame Street? One of these things is not like the other. So I'm going to put some pictures and shout out some names of some different packaging materials. Only one of these items goes in your curbside recycling cart. Unfortunately, you're going to have to figure out something else to do with all of the other items. Okay, here we go. Styrofoam peanuts, an Amazon Prime bubble envelope, a sealed air pillow packaging, cardboard boxes, or shredded paper. If you got kids in the background, hopefully they are screaming out. The one that goes in the recycling cart is the cardboard. Yes. So we're going to talk about real quick, what would you do with these other things? Styrofoam. Styrofoam is very not good for the environment. It takes forever to break down in the landfill, as you all know. And there are very few places on the planet that can recycle it. We are not a place that can. So please try to reuse these items or try to avoid getting them to begin with. The Amazon Prime white and blue bubble envelope. Can you see the red arrow? It says store drop off with your plastic bag. I didn't know that until people at Sealed Air, we had 47 packaging engineers come to our recycling facility, and I gave this exact presentation, and they said, yeah, it's recyclable. And I said, no, it's not. And they said, it is if you take it to your local grocery store and it goes to a different plant. Same thing with the Sealed Air pillow. Pop out that air. Put it with your bread bags, your sandwich bags, your dry cleaning bags, any bubble wrap you might have, any plastic grocery bags, any flexible plastic or film that is stretchy, as long as it's clean and dry, you can take it to your local grocery store and put it in there to be recycled. It goes to a completely different plant and it gets turned into those park benches and other refurbished lumber made out of plastics. Now, what about that shredded paper? We said paper is recyclable, right? But it also depends what form it is in. What happens to anything that goes through the screens with our shattered glass? It ends up in the glass pile. So we've been telling people, do I have one? Please don't put anything in your recycling cart smaller than a typical business size envelope, because anything smaller than that will probably land in our glass pile. So shredded paper, unfortunately, cannot go in your curbside cart. In the 7 R's of waste reduction, which is the level 2 presentation we're going to tell you more about, we come up with other ideas on how you can dispose of items like that. Okay, next one. Which metal object should go into the recycling cart? We have aerosol cans, an old watering jug, a gasoline can, miscellaneous screws, aluminum gutters, or car parts. Hopefully we have some kids, and the kids are all screaming, empty aerosol cans. Correct. If you can take that plastic cap off and throw it away, shake it up, make sure it's 100% empty so that it's not a flammable hazard, that would be great. Now, that gasoline can, that's definitely a flammable. Please bring that to one of our full service drop-off sites. We showed you the map previously. Take it to the household hazardous waste. The watering can, the miscellaneous screws and nails and other small metal things, the aluminum gutters. And if you have any car parts that are 100% metal, no rubber, no plastic, no paper, only metal, you can put all that in our scrap metal bin, and it'll all go to the scrap metal facility. It does not come to our recycling facility, but if you take it to a full service drop off center, it will go to the correct place. Don't put it in your recycling cart. Okay, which plastic object should go into the recycling cart? Plastic bags. Does anybody on this call still think that plastic bags should ever touch your recycling cart? If you do, please put your name, your phone number in the chat. Walker and I will be having a private session with you to do some little tutoring. How about a kiddie pool? How about some single-use utensils and like plastic cups and such? A salad dressing bottle, a storage bin, or a hose. Which item should go in your curbside recycling cart? Hopefully you are all saying the salad dressing bottle, because it is a food grade plastic that has a pourable neck or spout. Now, what are we going to do with that first? We are going to make sure it is really clean, because oil residues on plastic are going to end up ruining the whole batch. Remember, if your recyclables smell, you're not doing it right. Okay, so make sure there's no ranch dressing. Shake it up. Make sure as much of that residue is out as possible. If you can leave it to dry, that's even better. Now, question about the caps. What do I do with the caps? You have two choices. You can throw them away in your garbage and send them to the landfill, or you can screw it on tight and leave it with the bottle and put it in your recycling cart, because anything smaller than a business size envelope will end up in the shattered glass pile, and we don't want caps. Same thing with the plastic forks and spoons. They're all in the glass. That swimming pool, that tote bin, those are not a recyclable plastic. They're probably some mixed plastic. They're rigid plastic. They do not have a pourable neck or spout. And that hose is a tangling nightmare. I was at the recycling facility and watched the guys try to get a hose off of the conveyor. It was a little bit funny, but then it's not funny at the same time, because I could have shut the entire plant down for a long time if they didn't grab it in time. Okay, last one. This is the hardest one. This is the one that's going to make you all go, ooh, I'm a wishful recycler. Which food container should go into the recycling cart? There's only one correct answer, guys. We have those zip pouches. Everything comes in zip pouches, whether it be trail mix, rice, even vegetables, flour, all kinds of things are coming in these zip pouches these days. Yogurt cups, a cereal box, a nut container, a clamshell that often has fruit in it, but it can have other things in it too, a deli container, or a styrofoam takeout box. There's only one thing that goes in your recycling cart, and that is the cereal box. But what do you have to do with that first? Remember, you need to eat all the cereal out of it, because any extra bits of cereal are going to end up in the glass pile. You need to take out that plastic bag inside, because that's going to get wrapped around our machines and cause problems. But we would love the box board that we take. So what do we do with some of these other things? That zip bag, Isn't it so nice? I buy some cashews and they give me a free Ziploc bag. I am never buying a Ziploc bag for the rest of my life. Those things are durable. You can put them in the dishwasher, you can rinse them out, you can dry them, you can use Sharpies and write on them or put a tape or a label on them. And when they get too cruddy to reuse for your leftover food, use them for camping. They're great to keep things dry. They come in big ones, little ones, lots of different sizes. So, yogurt cups, deli container, and clam shells. Unfortunately, those are mixed plastics. Ignore the number on the bottom. It might say it's a one or a two. That doesn't mean that it's 100% a one or a two, unless you have an optic sorter at your house, which is a big, expensive piece of machinery that's going to be putting a laser in it to determine what type of chemical compound plastic it is. Chances are it's not pure and we can't accept it. Styrofoam, we talked about that before, no good. And that peanut container, that's got metal, that's got cardboard, that's got aluminum lining, and it's got a plastic top. That's called a mixed material. There's no way that can be separated. So there is no way we can recycle that. So here are a few miscellaneous frequently asked questions that I didn't fit into the game, but people always ask. What about aluminum foil and aluminum pans? So aluminum is recyclable if it's in the form of a can. Again, just like shredded paper, paper is recyclable, but it's the form. Unfortunately, aluminum foil acts like paper, goes into our paper bale, contaminates the paper bale, and the aluminum pie pan gets squished, acts like cardboard on our system, and ends up in contaminating the cardboard bale. And chances are we're still going to have a pie in there. And our guys that work at the recycling facility don't have time to eat your leftover pie. We've gotten full turkey carcasses at Thanksgiving in the big pie roast, in the big roasting pans. Can't handle that. No lasagna. We can't handle anything dirty. So no aluminum foil, no pans. What about that business envelope? What if it has a little window in it? Well, if you want to be an A++ recycler, we would love it if you rip that little plastic window out, because the value of our paper bale just went up. We just got a higher grade paper, and we might get 1 or 2 cents per ton more than we would have if it had plastic mixed in with it. But if you don't worry about it. It's no big deal. You can leave that in there. You don't have to take it out. Same thing with pasta boxes. If it has a little window in it, if you want to I take it out just because I've gotten the habit of doing that, but you don't have to. Okay, number one question. What about pizza boxes? How much grease can you handle? The answer is somewhere between a tad and a smidgen. Yes, those are very technical terms. I'm aware of that. Cardboard is recyclable. Pepperoni, sauce, cheese, and grease are not recyclable. They contaminate the cardboard when they're squished into cardboard bales, and we send them to the vendor who's going to melt it down and turn it into new cardboard. They don't want grease and cheese and pepperoni and mushrooms. They only want cardboard. So this is what we tell people. If it has like almost no grease on it, fine. If it has grease on it, rip the bottom off that's filled with grease and put that in your garbage, and save the top. Hopefully it didn't flip upside down. And the top, if it's clean, recycle only the clean part of the cardboard. So those are the questions we get most often.
So now is the point where we actually want to ask you, what is one thing that you learned today? Because I know we just threw a lot of information at you, and maybe some of you actually knew all of this information, and kudos for what we did know. But what is one thing that you learned today that you can commit to changing? Is it, I will not put plastic bags? Because that is excellent. Maybe I was recycling clamshells from my lettuce, and I realize now that is not recyclable. And so, what is one thing that you can commit to changing in your recycling habits to help us reach our goal of reducing contamination and recycling right?
And for those of you that want to help us spread the word, we are offering these free Recycle Right presentations monthly. So here are some of the upcoming dates. We will be sharing this with you. If you could share these with others and say, that presentation was really good. I know so-and-so would really like to listen to it, or my mom or my sister or my aunt or somebody, please share them. And if you have a group, whether it be a homeowners association, a faith-based organization, a professional group that would like to have us come and speak to your organization. It can be on your Zoom platform. It can be during one of your regular monthly meetings. Walker and I do that all the time. We'd like to do it for organizations that have 20 or more people, just to take advantage of our time. So we're not doing this entire presentation for 1 or 2 or 5 people. We'll send recordings if it's less than 20. But if you know of any groups, please reach out to the county and let us know, and we will give you a call to get that organized. So this Thursday, all of you are now eligible to take the level 2 training. And this one's only 25 minutes long. So we gave you a lot of information in the Recycle Right presentation. It's this Thursday, noon to 1. And this is the registration link. We'll make sure that we share it with you in the follow-up resources. I'm putting it on my notes right now so I don't forget. But we go through these 7 R's and we talk about, okay, what if I can't recycle it? What are other things that I can do to reduce my waste so I don't have to put as much into the landfill? So again, anyone who has taken a Recycle Right presentation is now eligible to take our level 2 presentation, the 7 R's of waste reduction. So thank you so much for listening today. This has been a pleasure. We hope everybody learned something. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to Mecklenburg County Solid Waste Department. Here is their phone number, their email, their Facebook page, and we have all of our events. Sometimes we have in-person events like shredding events. We had an electronics take-back event last weekend. Please like their Facebook page and share those posts with others. As I mentioned before, as Walker mentioned, our website is wipeoutwaste.com. It's been on the bottom of every single page. That's where there are so many resources. In fact, one of the resources there is our recycling pledge. It's something that you can fill out and say, I commit to doing my best. So that is the link. So at a high level, we want everybody to remember the saying, when in doubt, throw it out or give us a shout. Thank you so much for recycling right. Have a great day.
At home, always remember to recycle right. Never put plastic bags in your recycling bin.